In this video, we're going to be talking about some of the major credit card myths that we've been told and what the truth is. So let's jump right in. Myth: you should only have 1 or 2 credit cards. More will ruin your credit. Truth: what ruins your credit is not paying off your debt in time. Even if you only had 1 card, if you didn't consistently pay off your bill every month on time, then you will end up with bad credit. The number of cards in your wallet doesn't matter as much as your discipline and responsible use of them. Myth: you need a perfect credit score to qualify for any good credit cards. Truth: a lot of factors go into whether or not you'll be accepted or rejected for a rewards card with transferable points, besides just your credit score. For example, some credit card issuers won't let you open a new card with them if you've opened many within the past 2 years. You can also be rejected if you have too much available credit. Credit score is just one component of what determines your eligibility, but it's not solely dependent on that number. Myth: you need to spend a lot of money to earn enough points on your credit card to be worth it. Truth: not only is this not true, but it's actually discouraged. You should only be spending 30% or less of your credit limit. What I mean by this is if your credit limit is $1,000, in order to keep a healthy credit score, you should only be spending about $300, aka 30% or less on it each month. So it's not that you need to spend tons of money on your credit cards to be worth it. What's more important is spending money strategically. Getting a new card isn't permission to go on a shopping spree in the name of earning points. It's simply a tool to amplify your existing spend. That being said, if you have a big expense coming up like tuition, taxes, home renovations, then you should consider applying for a rewards card with the best sign-up offer. Most cards will give you tens of thousands of points after you spend a certain amount in a few months from opening the card. I'll give you more detail and examples later on in this program. Myth: it takes too many points to redeem a flight. I can't get that many points. Truth: you might be surprised to learn that flights can cost as little as 10,000 points, even international flights, depending on the airline, your destination, and travel dates. If you pause and scroll below the video, I've included a real-life example of an international flight that you can get without spending tons of points. Myth: if you use a credit card, you will always have to pay interest on what you've spent. Truth: you only pay interest if you don't pay your statement balance in full each month. When you get a credit card statement, there are 2 numbers you have to pay attention to. Number 1 is your statement balance. Number 2, when is the payment due? Here's an account summary from a credit card statement. Let's say that you open a credit card and your statement cycle begins on January 1st. You use the card a lot, and on January 31st, your statement cycle closes. On February 1st, you'll receive a statement listing all of your purchases and the total amount you spent on them. In this example, your statement balance is $2,000, which simply means you owe $2,000. Any purchases after January 31st will go on the next statement. It's important to note what your payment due date is because it may be different from the date that your cycle closes. In this example, your cycle closed on January 31st, but your payment due date is February 24th. Let's look at this in a different way on a calendar. Cycle 1 begins on January 1st and ends on January 31st. You receive your statement on February 1st, and your payment due date is February 24th. You have a little over 3 weeks to pay off your bill. February 1st is also when cycle 2 starts. And you may think that your payment due date is when cycle 2 ends, which in this example is February 28th. But actually, the payment due date is earlier, on February 24th. Sometimes payment due dates are fixed, for example, the 24th of every month. Or it could change, for example, the last Friday of the month. It can be easy to get confused with your dates, so always check the due date when you get your statement, or better yet, set up auto pay if you're able to. I think it's important to say here that you should always pay the full balance when possible. and credit cards shouldn't be used as a substitute for careful financial planning and budgeting. At the very least, you must make the minimum payment for each month to avoid fees or having your account closed. Also, keep in mind that if you're unable to pay your balance in full, you will pay interest on whatever balance remains. So make sure you keep that in mind for the following month. I'll add in one more tip here that most people don't know about. You can always call up your credit card company and change the payment due date. For example, if you have 3 credit cards and the payment due dates are all different days scattered throughout the month, it can be really hard to keep track of. Let's say one credit card has a payment due date of the 6th of every month, another one is due the 17th of every month, and another one is due the 23rd of every month. That's tough to keep track of. So what you can do is pick a date that's easy for you to remember and call up the credit card companies to change the due date for all 3 credit cards to the same date. I always knew that I would get my paycheck on the 15th, so I would set my payment due dates for all of the credit cards to the 20th of each month. And like I mentioned before, the best thing to do is to set up auto pay so that the full statement balance is automatically withdrawn from your bank account to pay off the statement balance in full on time. That way you never have to worry about it. As you've now seen, there are a lot of myths and misconceptions around credit cards, but being savvy about the way you use credit cards can really pay off in many ways. With that, I will see you in the next video.